Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Coming up next, I talk about the big-time weekend of recruiting. I'm calling it a recruiting spectacular. That's coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. On Justus Terry, of course, everybody wants him. And like I said, whoever wins this game, I think takes a big step forward in landing the five-star defensive lineman out of the state of Georgia. Can't wait to see it. And I can't even imagine how excited he is to be able to come in, talk with Coach Kalen DeBoer, talk with Coach Freddie Roach, and kind of understand how this defense would utilize his talents, right? Looking at that bandit position, looking at the Alabama defensive front, you got to be excited. Absolutely. Ivan Taylor and Malachi Toney, each of those prospects are out of the state of Florida. Now, I've spoken about this before. Alabama does not have a current commitment from the state of Florida, which is a little bit interesting considering that was Nick Saban's pipeline. Look, Coach Kalen DeBoer has made California his early pipeline, and it's still early. None of these guys have signed, but Ivan Taylor is a prospect that was committed to Notre Dame, and then he flipped his commitment to Michigan. Now, he has a really good relationship with Courtney Morgan, right? We continue to hear Courtney Morgan's name being mentioned in recruiting as the GM and all of the great things that he's done here early in his career at the University of Alabama. So I would watch this. The thing is, even when you compare Michigan following their national championship last year, look at kind of where we are with the brand of Alabama football. I'm telling you, the ratings for this game are going to be extraordinary. If you want to play in front of the brightest lights, Alabama can get you there. And also, you look at what Alabama continues to do from an NFL development standpoint. Kalen DeBoer sent 10 from Washington. All right? So I think we're certainly watching Ivan Taylor. Todd feels that Alabama has a good chance in flipping him. Another prospect is Derrick Smith. We'll talk about him in just a second. He's committed to Auburn, but let me talk about Malachi Toney, who's a wide receiver that is committed to Miami. Now, he's coming over here to Tuscaloosa, kind of get a taste of, what Tuscaloosa has to offer. Now, if you're him, I'm sure he's excited about what Miami has, right? And where Miami is as a program. But I'm telling you, there's a big difference between the University of Alabama and Miami, all right? Because there's nothing like the college football pageantry that you have here at the University of Alabama, along with the stability of the program, the new coaches. Can you imagine Malachi Toney coming in and working with, Jamarcus Shepard, getting the taste of that type of energy, what he brings, along with seeing the other Alabama wide receivers that are getting developed and the other wide receivers that are playing right now. Now, Ryan Williams kind of highlights that freshman group, but we talk about Rico Scott. He's played. And Caleb Odom, he's catching passes, right? You also have Latsier Brooks in that class of 2025, a prospect that we are all excited about. Derrick Smith, who is currently committed to Auburn, he was at one point in time committed to Alabama, then flipped his commitment along with Antonio Coleman. And you got to be thinking, if you're a prospect that has committed to Auburn, or any of the prospects that are committed to Auburn that are in-state prospects, what is the trajectory of Auburn right now? We've talked about this before, man. I can't even imagine how it feels to be an Auburn football fan. I can't imagine how it feels to be a player. I can't imagine how it is to be Hugh Freeze. I mean, former players are attacking him on social media. Other players that, like these young people, they're reading this. They're seeing the trajectory. Honestly, it seems like the barn is kind of burning. Now, these guys haven't signed official documents to go here or there. And I got to think that they're starting to look to Tuscaloosa and seeing the bright lights and what Coach Kalen DeBoer has done. Also, he's winning. He's got a great demeanor. And the biggest thing, too, look at his staff. Man, his staff is elite. I don't know how long these guys will be here because they are that good, but I promise you that Courtney Morgan, he would have already left. Alabama took care of him. So you know that Coach Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan, those two guys are going to be the foundation. Tack on Jeff Allen, tack on David Ballou. Those are some pillars of this program, right? I think the other coaches, they're going to get opportunity because they are just that good. But, man, you look at Auburn, if you're an in-state guy and you're committed there, you start to talk with your family and you're like, man, look, what is happening here? Let me ask you this, Undefeated, and I appreciate the 104 that are watching right now. Do you think that Auburn will have another coaching change within the next let's say 2 seasons? Yes or no? Honestly, I know Hugh just got here, but do you think that they'll have a coaching change within 2 years? They might. Yes or no? Inside the comment box. I don't know how long Hugh Freeze stays. I know that he played Coach Saban well, but other than that, you got to look at the trajectory of where things are going with Auburn. I don't know. I mean, it's not good. Okay? It's not good. So if you're a recruit out there and you're looking at the 2 programs, clearly Alabama has something exceptional going on. Look, a lot of us in the undefeated feel that they're going to be a coaching change at some point in time. Here's kind of a snapshot overview, and I encourage you to go check out your recruiting sites. They have a really in-depth list in terms of prospects from the class of 2026, class of 2027 that are visiting this weekend. I mean, some big-time prospects, 5 stars, future talent. So your recruiting sites have that all covered. Here's the huge weekend, kind of at a snapshot. More guys that are committed to Alabama, like A.K. Derry's a running back, Caleb Cunningham, those 2 guys, each from the state of Mississippi, Chuck McDonald and Dejon Lee out of the state of California, Duke Johnson. We talked about Justus Terry and Ty Haywood, along with Keon Russell, each of those guys out of the Lone Star State. So it is a giant weekend of recruiting. And I think, having a prospect in like Keon Russell, I think really sets the tone because he is making national headlines. Well, by the way, like Lazier Brooks is basically on ESPN all the time making like mossing people, right? Keon Russell is the focal point because he's the quarterback. Coach Kalen DeBoer made a trip to go see him, according to reports, during this last game, all right? He puts up some big-time numbers, 351 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. He's averaging 321 yards passing per game. I think he has 14 touchdowns through the air. He's doing an incredible job this year. Not only receivers want to play for him, but I think players on both sides of the football understand that's the trajectory of Alabama. You get this guy in, who is the Elite 11 MVP, right? The On3 MVP this summer at their event. Same thing with Rivals. You look at how he conducts himself, very professional, super mature. Look, I don't know if he makes a push next year. I mean, you got Ty Simpson coming back. You got Dylan Lonergan. You got Austin Mack. I mean, the quarterback room is really, really healthy. Keon Russell, man, I'm telling you, you watch his highlights. You see the way he moves in the pocket. You see the way he's able to move. And you see his deep ball ability. Man, Jarvis is right, man. Inside the comment box, Keon Russell continues the pipeline of dynamic Alabama quarterbacks. This guy looks exceptional, as 5 stars do. You're going to say that freshmen don't play here? Now there's 20 freshmen or so that have played here at the University of Alabama. One, who's 17 years old, who got some great comments from Kirby Smart. You see that? Kirby Smart hyping up Brian Williams, giving him respect. Guy's absolutely balling out. So that's kind of a look at what's happening on this recruiting spectacular. I appreciate you guys being here and, liking the content. So thank you very much. And we'll continue to keep you updated on new names that come in or recruiting updates as they happen right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Another look at Keon Russell. And as I said, I mean, this last Friday night, 18 of 23, 351 yards, 6 touchdowns. This guy has it. I can't wait to see him when he gets to Alabama. Like, the excitement of these 5 stars is something, but, I don't know. I can just kind of feel it with Keon Russell. Look at the Alabama injury report going into this weekend's game against Georgia. Now you see it's mostly positive. Credit to, number one, thank goodness that these guys have remained healthy. But even when there's been nicks, cuts, scrapes, twisted arms, it's worked out well for Alabama. Thank goodness, right? You've seen a lot of players recently headlining college football, some marquee talented players going out with season-ending injuries. I get it. It's part of the game that we play in. Thankfully that, these guys are healthy, and it looks very positive for Alabama. Coach Kalen DeBoer gave a positive update on Cole Adams yesterday. Said it's kind of still, it seemed like day-to-day to me. Now, Koya Russo, it seemed like a very positive update. And he's keeping a lot of this information close because I'm sure they don't have a 100% idea of where he's going to be for Georgia. But I kind of get a feel that Koya will be good to go for this Georgia game. Malachi Moore, he's good to go. He passed the protocol. He's good to go. And Richard Young, it looks like that's another positive update. Maybe a game time decision. He's the third string running back right now behind Justice and Jam. Well, I guess you could say he's the second running back, right? Because Justice and Jam kind of, 1 and 2. Marcus, what's up, man? 11111. I see you inside the comment box. And Metallica, Alabama, what's going on? He says, I love what Kane Womack said about the defense hasn't shown much. That's scary for the rest of college football. As we talk about Alabama and Georgia here coming up, and I list X factors for this particular game, I think you hit on a really interesting point right there, Metallica, because I haven't seen a lot of pressure from Jahad Campbell or Deontay Lawson. They're two inside linebackers. And I think at some point in time, maybe I would assume it's this Saturday against Carson Beck, these guys are going to bring it, right? They've been sitting pressure off the edge, and you have Q Rob, who leads the team in sacks with 3. But in terms of interior pressure, considering that Tate Ratledge, Georgia's starting right guard, is out of this game, I'm going heavy. Got to get to Carson Beck. As I mentioned, Tate Ratledge is out of this game. He's our starting right guard. Suffered an ankle injury against Kentucky. He had the tightrope surgery, and he is out against Alabama. That's huge. And I said this yesterday. Can you imagine being without Tyler Booker or Jaden Roberts for this game? We already went through it with Caden Proctor against Western Kentucky and South Florida, and that wasn't fun. And from what I understand, Case, it looks like Ratledge will probably be out, 4 or 5 games. Brock Bowers came back from the tightrope surgery last year, as did, Tua had to go through that. If you've ever seen how the tightrope surgery is done, like modern medicine is amazing. There's diagrams. I went and watched it when Tua, had to have it. What they're able to do, just incredible. Chris from New Jersey is asking about the weather. It looks like the weather is going to be great for Saturday night. It looks like kickoff should be around 63 degrees. Slight possibility of rain. There you go. There's a and I'm saying this because North Alabama Storm Chase has been sending me emails with the weather, which I appreciate. See, 20% chance of rain. Calm winds around 63 degrees for kick time. 6 p.m. on ESPN. Hey fam, I hope you enjoyed that video talking about Alabama's recruiting spectacular along with the upcoming injury report for this weekend's game between Alabama and Georgia. Hey, check out some of our related videos. I appreciate you guys being here. I'll be live tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time right here on Bama Football on YouTube.